Alrighty gang, it's Friday and we still have this big winter storm slated to trek like 1,500 miles across the country from Saturday to Monday. For a lot of folks, it's going to dump a big ton of snow. Farther south, we'll see freezing rain and perhaps a full-fledged ice storm. There are a lot of wild cards with this, so I'd like to take the opportunity to discuss what we know, what we don't know, and the wild cards in between that are really complicating this forecast. For starters, it might seem like the forecast you're getting is kind of wobbling. One second you're getting snow, the next second you might be getting sleet. The snow jackpot goes north and south. What's going on? That's because we're still waiting to get a handle on some of the ingredients. For example, this swirly twirly low offshore the Pacific Northwest, that's our bowling ball upper level low. It's going to dive south and east over the next few days, and that will be what generates our surface low and eventual storm over Oklahoma Saturday night into Sunday. But you notice it's still over the open ocean, so we don't really know what's going on with it. Once it moves ashore tonight, then folks in Washington and Oregon can start launching weather balloons into it, kind of ascertaining its 3D structure, and the weather models will get way better at their simulations. So expect a big forecast improvement overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, but until then, some uncertainty remains. Now I want to talk about precipitation type, because this is an absolutely moisture-loaded system. Everybody's getting a good drink of water. You're getting like 1 to 2 inches worth of liquid equivalent. But the question is, rain, snow, sleet, freezing rain? Depends on where you are, and realistically it depends more on temperatures than anything else. And it's not just the temperature at the ground, it's the temperature upstairs too. The forecast is complicated by something called the warm nose, which is warm air at 5,000 feet that's being swirled north. But at the same time, low pressure over New England and a high over the upper Midwest are pulling down cold air and entrenching it near the ground. So it might be warm aloft, but colder near the surface. That's why the forecast is so tricky. And here's what that's doing to the atmosphere. We'll use Missouri as the example. I chose 3 different sites across Missouri, all within like 175 miles north to south, to show you why it's so tricky. We'll look at simulated vertical profiles of the atmosphere, starting with here in Moberly, Missouri. If we take a look, it's kind of a weird diagram, but I drew the freezing line in. Anything left is colder, anything warm is to the right. If you look at the environment line in the red, you notice the whole thing is below the freezing line. So the entire atmosphere, bottom to top, is cold, is below freezing. That's why snow falls. Now let's look at Jefferson, Missouri, barely 65 miles to the south, because it's a completely different story. We start seeing the warm nose, this little kind of corridor at the middle levels that's poking above freezing. So any snowflakes start to melt on the way down, but then there's this thick cold layer near the ground, and so they refreeze, but not into snowflakes, they freeze into sleet pellets. So that area will likely see more sleet. And how about Rolla, Missouri, barely 50 miles to the south in the Ozarks? Here, once again, we see it's changed. A much thicker warm nose, so the snowflake melts completely into raindrops, and then a very teeny sub-freezing layer at the ground. So all this rain comes down and then freezes only on the ground. Freezing rain. That's the recipe for an ice storm. Thicker warm nose, only a very shallow sub-freezing layer near the surface, and you get that guild of ice everywhere. And remember, all this happens only within 125 miles north to south, and so any wobbles make a huge difference in precipitation type and subsequently accumulations. That said, plan for big snow totals across central and northern Kansas, maybe Kansas City, northern Missouri, maybe southern portions of Illinois, maybe far southern Indiana too. You guys are in that snow band. But for central Kansas, central and southern Missouri, folks near the Ohio River, it's a fiasco. It's a meteorological headache, and I wish there was a better answer we could give you, but it'll be messy to forecast, it'll be messy to clean up, and you'll get a mix of everything. I might be going out there, not sure yet, once again depends on the forecast. We'll have more updates for you throughout the weekend, but until then, stay tuned and just prepare for kind of a rough weekend. Get some indoor activities to do, you know.
Follow MyRadar on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Download MyRadar on iOS, Android, Amazon Alexa, and Windows.